The tiny blue light that changed everything. Look at the screen you're holding right now. The smartphone in your hand, the bulb lighting this room, the traffic lights outside, the TV you watch every night, all of it, every single pixel, every modern light source, traces back to one thing. Something so small, you've probably never thought about it once. For 30 years, the world's biggest electronics companies tried to build it. IBM, GE, Bell Labs, Sony, Toshiba, Panasonic. Hundreds of millions of dollars, thousands of researchers, and they all gave up. It's physically impossible until one stubborn engineer with no PhD, no academic papers, and a lab full of scavenged equipment refused to stop. This is the story of the blue LED and how it quietly rewired the modern world. In 1962, General Electric engineer Nick Holonyak invented the first visible LED, a faint red glow. Green followed a few years later. That was it. For decades, those were the only two colors. To make white light with LEDs, you need three colors: red, green, and blue. Combine them, and you unlock every shade of light imaginable, from warm living rooms to stadium screens. Blue was the missing piece, and for 30 years, it seemed impossible. When it was finally cracked in 1993, the world didn't notice, but everything began to change. Why blue was so hard? Here's the basic principle. In an LED, electricity pushes electrons across a gap in a semiconductor material. When they fall, they release energy as light. The size of that gap determines the color. Red and green were manageable. Blue light requires more energy, which means a bigger gap, and that demanded a completely different material. Two candidates emerged: zinc selenide and gallium nitride. Zinc selenide looked promising. Cleaner crystals, more labs working on it. 500 researchers attended its conference sessions. Gallium nitride? Nearly abandoned. Its crystal defect rate was catastrophically high. In 1972, an RCA engineer had made a tiny gallium nitride LED. But it was so dim, the project was shut down and declared a dead end. 20 years later, the verdict hadn't changed. The gallium nitride session at Japan's biggest physics conference, 5 attendees. The man who wouldn't quit. 2 of those 5 people were the world's leading gallium nitride experts, Dr. Isamu Akasaki and his former student, Dr. Hiroshi Amano, both from one of Japan's top universities. The others were virtually unknown. One of them was Shuji Nakamura, a researcher at Nichia, a small Japanese chemical company. No PhD, no academic papers. His colleagues dismissed him as a lowly technician. His lab was mostly machinery he'd welded together himself. Phosphorus leaks caused so many small explosions, his co-workers had stopped bothering to check on him. In 1988, his supervisors told him to quit. Instead, he walked into the office of Nichia's founder, Nobuo Ogawa, and made the boldest pitch of his life. What if Nichia could do what Sony, Toshiba, and Panasonic all failed to do? What if we build the blue LED? Ogawa took the gamble, committing roughly 15% of the company's annual profit to Nakamura's moonshot. Nakamura headed to Florida to master a crystal-growing technique called MOCVD. But even there, he was shunned. Without a doctorate, his lab mates treated him as a second-class researcher. He spent 10 of 12 months assembling equipment almost from scratch. That humiliation became fuel. He wrote, "I feel resentful when people look down on me. I developed more fighting spirit. I would not allow myself to be beaten by such people." He returned to Japan with a new MOCVD reactor and a single backup plan. Even if the LED failed, he'd publish enough papers to earn his PhD. 3 breakthroughs. Breakthrough, Valve 1, the two-flow reactor. Standard MOCVD reactors had a flaw. Crystal gases drifted upward, mixed in the hot chamber, and turned to powdery waste. Nakamura added a second nozzle that pushed an inert gas downward, pinning the crystal flow against the substrate. Everyone assumed a second flow would only create turbulence. No one had tried it. It worked. The result: the highest quality gallium nitride crystals ever grown. He published the discovery without telling Nichia. Paper 1. 4 to go. Breakthrough No. 2. P-type gallium nitride. To make an LED work, you need both N-type and P-type semiconductor layers. Akasaki and Amano had made P-type gallium nitride by blasting it with an electron beam. But nobody knew why it worked, and the process was too slow for manufacturing. Nakamura had a theory. Maybe the crystal just needed energy. Any energy? He heated a magnesium-doped sample to 400 degrees. It worked. Better than the electron beam. This also revealed why P-type had been so elusive for 20 years. Hydrogen atoms from the manufacturing process had been sneaking in and blocking the holes. Heat released them. A 20-year mystery, solved with a furnace. Breakthrough number 3. Bright enough to matter. By 1992, Nakamura had a prototype. He presented it at a conference in St. Louis and received a standing ovation. But the light output was just 42 microwatts. Commercial viability required 1,000. Meanwhile, Nichia's new CEO had lost patience. He sent written orders. Stop tinkering. Turn what you have into a product. Nakamura's job was on the line. He threw the note in the bin, again and again as more notes arrived. I kept ignoring his orders. I had been successful because I didn't listen to company orders and trusted my own judgment. The solution was an indium gallium nitride active layer, a thin region that would pull the emission from blue-violet down to true blue and dramatically boost efficiency. But Amano himself later recalled, it was widely believed that gallium nitride and indium nitride simply would not mix. Like water and oil, Nakamura used brute force. He modified his reactor to pump in as much indium as possible, betting that some would stick. It did. He added a surrounding layer of aluminum gallium nitride to trap the electrons inside the well, preventing them from leaking out. The LED structure had become far more complex than anyone had imagined, but it was complete. The moment, 1993, Nakamura fired up the new LED. Bright, blue, real blue, visible even in daylight. Light output, 1,500 microwatts, 50% above the commercial threshold, over 100 times brighter than any pseudo-blue LED on the market. He called Nichia's aging founder into his office. Please, Chairman, come to my office. Look. The old man looked at the blue glow. Oh, this is great, no? Nakamura wrote, I felt like I had reached the top of Mount Fuji. At the Tokyo press conference, the electronics industry was stunned. A Toshiba researcher put it simply, everyone was caught with their pants down. The impact: by the end of 1994, Nichia was producing 1 million blue LEDs per month. Within 3 years, the company's revenue had nearly doubled. In 1996, they placed a yellow phosphor coating over the blue LED. It absorbed blue photons and re-emitted them across the visible spectrum. The world's first white LED was born. Today, lighting accounts for 5% of all global carbon emissions. A full switch to LEDs could save an estimated 1.4 billion tons of CO2 per year, equivalent to taking almost half the world's cars off the road. In 2010, just 1% of residential lighting sales worldwide were LED. By 2022, over 50%. Experts expect near total adoption within the decade. And the screen you're watching this on right now, every pixel is made of red, green, and blue subpixels. No blue LED, no smartphones, no LED TVs, no modern displays of any kind. In 2014, Nakamura, Akasaki, and Amano were awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics. The committee called it an invention of great benefit to mankind. The bitter irony. So what did Nichia pay the man who quadrupled their fortunes? A $170 bonus per patent and a salary raise to $60,000 a year. This was while the blue LED was generating hundreds of millions in sales. Nakamura eventually left Nichia for the United States. He sued for proper compensation. A Japanese court initially ordered Nichia to pay $200 million. After appeals and settlement, $8 million, barely enough to cover his legal fees. The blue LED today is an $80 billion industry. After the Nobel Prize, Nakamura offered to visit Nichia and make amends. They turned him down. Their relationship remains cold to this day. The next time you unlock your phone or flip on a light, pause for a second. What set Nakamura apart from the thousands of researchers who tried before him wasn't resources. It wasn't prestige. It was the refusal to accept the word impossible. When he was asked what his favorite color was, he didn't hesitate. Blue. Always blue. I grew up in a fishing village. The ocean was right in front of our house. Blue. Always. The modern world glows blue at its core. And sometimes the biggest revolutions come from the most stubborn people. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe for more hidden histories behind the ordinary things that changed everything, because nothing is ever just ordinary.